She may act cold, but if you've touched her emotions or her body in the right way, she's thinking about you far more than she'll ever admit. Most men think a woman only cares when she's texting, calling, or trying to see them. When she goes quiet, they assume the attraction is gone. But that's not how women work. Women do their deepest thinking in silence. They replay moments. They replay your voice. They replay how they felt standing close to you. And the stronger the emotional or physical spark was, the harder it is for her to turn that off. You're not imagining it when you feel her energy still connected to you. You're not crazy for sensing she hasn't let go. Women leak their thoughts in subtle ways. The late-night social media checks, the quick look when she sees you, the tension in her voice, the strange shift in her mood when another woman is around. These aren't random, they're signals. In this video, I'm going to show you the hidden signs that you're on her mind, far more than she wants you to know. And we're going to break them down with Stoic clarity, so you can see what's real, not fantasy. Let's get into it. Number 1. The silent signs she can't hide. Folks, let's be real. When a woman is thinking about you, she doesn't come out and say it. Women rarely express desire directly. They leak it in small, subtle signals. Signals most men completely overlook because they expect women to act like men. But women reveal their thoughts in silence long before they reveal them in words. Let me make this real with an example. There's a man named Eric, 58, a divorced electrician from Colorado. After months of casually seeing a woman named Melissa, 53, he started noticing something strange. She didn't text first very often. She didn't flirt as hard as before. On the surface, she looked indifferent. Most men would have assumed she moved on. But Eric kept noticing that every time he posted a picture from the gym, Melissa was one of the first to view it. When he didn't text for a few days, she would suddenly randomly ask about a show they once watched. And when they ran into each other at a local farmer's market, the way her eyes lit up and then quickly looked away told him everything. She wasn't over him. She was trying not to look too eager. That's the first silent sign she watches you without approaching you. Women do reconnaissance before they make moves. They observe your energy, your tone, the way you carry yourself. Silence is not absence. Silence is data collection. Another silent sign is the shift in her mood when she sees you unexpectedly. A woman who's not thinking about you stays neutral, but a woman who has you on her mind does one of two things. She becomes noticeably warmer or noticeably colder. Either reaction is emotional, and emotional means invested. If she stiffens up, acts awkward, or suddenly gets overly polite, that's not disinterest. That's tension. Emotional tension is attraction's shadow. A third silent sign is memory. Women forget men they don't care about. But when she remembers tiny details, your favorite drink, the joke you made months ago, the place you said you wanted to visit, she's replaying you internally. Memory is emotional residue, and residue only exists when emotion is still active. Here's something the Stoics understood: people reveal their inner world through small actions. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If she's thinking about you, her behavior gets colored by it, no matter how controlled she tries to be. Women can hide their words, they can hide their schedule, but they can't hide their emotional imprint. Another silent sign is micro-jealousy. She won't admit she's jealous, but she'll ask who you were with or make a small comment about a woman in your photo or act slightly colder after seeing another woman's name pop up. For men, jealousy is loud. For women, jealousy is subtle, and that subtlety is exactly what reveals it. Eric eventually saw what most men miss. Melissa's silence wasn't rejection, it was restraint. She felt something, but she didn't want to act on it first. And that dynamic is extremely common. Women think about men far more than they express. Their silence is not empty, it's loaded. If you've ever noticed a woman acting differently around you without explaining why, drop a comment saying, "I've seen this." Stay tuned, because next we're breaking down the curiosity shift the moment a woman starts investigating you without letting you know. Number 2. The curiosity shift that gives her away. Folks, let's be real. A woman's curiosity is never random. When she starts paying attention to things she didn't care about before, your habits, your schedule, your energy, your goals, that shift isn't accidental. It's emotional, and it's one of the clearest signs you've entered her mind more than she wants you to know. Men often think a woman shows interest by being obvious, flirting, texting, first asking for plans. But that's not how women operate when they're uncertain or trying to hide their feelings. Instead, they move quietly, indirectly. They gather information, they try to understand you without revealing that they're studying you. Here's where most men miss the signal. A woman becomes curious when something about you disrupts her emotional balance. Maybe you went quiet, maybe you became more focused, maybe you didn't respond the way she expected, maybe you didn't chase when she created distance. Whatever the reason, something about you forces her to reevaluate you. And when that happens, curiosity kicks in. One of the first signs is question layering. She doesn't ask direct, intimate questions at first. She starts with surface-level things, work updates, new hobbies, weekend plans. But listen closely. Each question is a small attempt to read where you stand. She's trying to rebuild the emotional map she once had. Then she shifts into pattern checking. She starts noticing your routines. She picks up on changes in your energy. She becomes hyper-aware of the subtle things men think women ignore. Women are tuned into emotional signals the way men are tuned into visual cues. When she starts noticing micro details about you, it's because her mind has already been focused on you. And here's the subtle part most guys never catch. Her curiosity rises the less you explain yourself. Women are endlessly curious about men who don't lay their whole inner world on the table. The more mysterious your emotional discipline is, the more questions she forms. Stoics called this the strength of inner reserve. Epictetus said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you." But there's another layer to that. You must also uplift yourself by not giving away your emotional center. A man who keeps part of his inner world private naturally creates tension, and tension breeds curiosity. Another major sign is information triangulation. She starts asking others about you, mutual friends, co-workers, people around you, not because she wants gossip, but because she wants context for your recent behavior. Women do this, especially when pride stops them from asking you directly. And here's a truth many men don't want to face. Her curiosity spikes when she feels you slipping out of her emotional grip. A woman doesn't investigate men she doesn't care about. She investigates men who confuse her, men who surprise her, men whose presence she can't fully predict. Curiosity is attraction wearing a mask. Finally, watch for the emotional softening that follows curiosity. She asks deeper questions. She lingers in conversations longer. She responds faster even if she doesn't text first. A woman only opens that door when her mind is running scenarios about you. If you've ever seen a woman suddenly become more interested in your life after you pulled back, drop a comment saying, "I've noticed this." Stay with me, because next we're going to break down the attention leaks, the tiny behaviors she doesn't think you see, but they reveal exactly how much space you take up in her mind. Number 3. The attention leaks she doesn't mean to show. Folks, here's something most men never notice. When a woman is trying not to show interest, that's exactly when she leaks the most. Women don't reveal attraction through big gestures. They reveal it through micro-behaviors, the small, unplanned moments when her attention slips and exposes what's really going on inside her. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. There's a man named Brian, 57, a welder from Ohio. After casually dating a woman named Danielle, 52, he noticed something strange. She kept saying she was busy trying to focus on herself or unsure about dating right now. Her words said distance, but her behavior said something else entirely. Brian would post a picture from his fishing trip, and within minutes, Danielle viewed it. Not liked it. Not commented. Just viewed it every time. She wasn't trying to engage. She was trying to monitor. That's an attention leak. Then there was the time Brian didn't text her for 2 days. On day 3, she suddenly sent him a message. Saw a truck just like yours today. That wasn't about trucks. That was about her mind drifting toward him. Another leak. Women leak attention when they're trying hardest to hide it. One of the biggest leaks is timing. If she views your stories late at night or early in the morning, that tells you when she thinks about you most, when her guard is lowest. That quiet space is where her emotions slip through. Another leak: emotional micro-reactions. When you see her in person, after a period of distance, she might act overly warm or overly cold. Either extreme exposes something. A woman who doesn't care stays neutral. A woman who does care leaks emotion the moment she sees you, whether that's a soft smile, a quick glance away, or a tone that suddenly rises when she says your name. Brian saw this firsthand when he ran into Danielle at a grocery store. She froze for a split second, eyes wide, breathing shallow, then instantly shifted into a polite, overly controlled tone. That wasn't indifference. That was emotional overflow she was trying to contain. Attention leaks also show up through indirect communication. When a woman misses you, she doesn't always reach out directly. Instead, she finds ways to reconnect without exposing herself. She'll ask a mutual friend about you. She'll reply to an old message. She'll comment on something unrelated just to open a door. Women rarely say, "I miss you." They behave it. Here's the Stoic angle. Marcus Aurelius taught that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. A woman's attention leaks show the color of her thoughts, because the mind always reveals what it repeatedly returns to. She may deny it, she may hide it, but repeated patterns never lie. Another thing to watch: behavioral inconsistency. When a woman feels nothing, she behaves predictably. When she feels something, she becomes inconsistent, warm one day, distant the next, curious but guarded, responsive but cautious. Those inconsistencies aren't games. They're emotional conflict. Brian eventually realized Danielle wasn't confused about him. She was conflicted with herself. Her attention said yes, even when her words said maybe. If you've ever seen a woman leak interest in small, subtle ways, she didn't mean to show. Drop a comment saying, "I've seen this." Don't go anywhere, because next we're going into the emotional reactions. She can't control the ones that appear, even when she's trying her hardest to stay cool. Number 4, the emotional reactions she can't control. Folks, here's a truth men overlook all the time. When a woman is trying not to care, her words will lie, but her emotions won't. If you've left any kind of imprint on her, emotional, physical, or psychological, her reactions will expose it before she even realizes what she's doing. Women are masters at hiding interest, but they're terrible at hiding emotional spikes. And those spikes are the clearest signs she's been thinking about you. One of the biggest emotional giveaways is the sudden shift in her tone. A woman who feels nothing stays consistent, but a woman who has something unresolved with you will sound different depending on how close you get to her emotional center. If you speak casually, she's fine. But the second you hit a nerve, mention another woman, mention your plans, or simply show confidence, her voice tightens, softens, or becomes overly controlled. Tone never lies. Another emotional reaction she can't hide is nervousness. Women don't get nervous around men they feel nothing for. They get nervous around men who make them feel vulnerable. That vulnerability shows up in quick glances away, fidgeting, rambling, over-explaining, or acting a little too cheerful. Nervousness isn't weakness, it's emotional friction, and friction means interest. Then there's the overreaction. When a woman is indifferent, small things don't bother her. But when she feels something she doesn't want to admit, she'll react stronger than the situation calls for. You take too long to reply, she acts colder than usual. You mention a female co-worker, she suddenly becomes distant. You don't greet her first when you see her, she pretends not to notice you. Those reactions aren't random, they're emotional attempts to regain balance. The Stoics explained this perfectly. Epictetus wrote, "When someone is stirred, recognize that something has disturbed their judgment. A woman isn't reacting to your actions, she's reacting to the meaning she attaches to your actions. If your presence didn't matter, her judgment wouldn't shake." Emotional reactions are proof that you occupy mental space she can't fully control. Another sign, defensiveness. When a woman has you on her mind but wants to hide it, she becomes overly careful about seeming detached. She'll insist she's fine, not interested, or not thinking about you, but she'll say it with a tone that contradicts the content. Defensiveness is the shadow side of desire. And one of the strongest emotional signals is jealous tension. Not loud jealousy, subtle jealousy. She tightens up when you talk to another woman. She gets oddly curious about who you spend time with. She becomes colder after seeing you interact with someone new. Jealousy is the emotional fingerprint of attachment. These reactions are instinctive. She doesn't decide to have them. They erupt. And that eruption tells you more than any words she could speak. If you want deeper insight into how women react emotionally and how to stay grounded and stoic instead of getting pulled into their emotional waves, consider joining the channel membership. Inside, I break down the hidden psychological patterns women follow and how men can stay centered no matter what comes their way. If you've ever seen a woman react stronger than expected for no clear reason, drop a comment saying, "I've felt this." Let's keep going, because next we're stepping into the small jealousy signs, the ones subtle enough to miss, but powerful enough to reveal exactly where her mind is. Number 5. The small jealousy that reveals big feelings. Let's be real, folks. A woman can hide her words, her intentions, even her behavior. But jealousy always slips through the cracks. And when a woman feels even a small spike of jealousy, it tells you something she will never say out loud. You're living rent-free in her mind. Now, I'm not talking about dramatic movie-style jealousy. I'm talking about the quiet version, the subtle tension she tries to hide. That tension reveals far more than any confession ever could. Let me show you with a real example. There's a man named David, 59, a retired police officer from Arizona. After casually seeing a woman named Karen, 54, he decided to pull back a little, focus more on his health and hobbies. He wasn't ignoring her, just giving things space. One day he mentioned in passing that he met a woman at his cycling group who gave him a great restaurant recommendation. Instantly, Karen's entire vibe shifted. Her smile tightened, her tone got clipped, and she said, "Oh, you seem to meet a lot of people lately." That wasn't about restaurants. That was jealousy in disguise. Women rarely admit jealousy because jealousy exposes vulnerability, and women don't like showing vulnerability to a man unless they deeply trust him or deeply desire him. Another example. A woman will pretend she's just curious, but she'll ask pointed questions like, "Who were you out with?" Or, "Is she a friend from work?" Women over 40 and 50 don't get jealous for fun. They get jealous when they feel something real. And that emotional spike shows you exactly where her mind has been drifting. Small jealousy also shows up in micro behaviors. A woman who's secretly into you might suddenly become more competitive with other women in subtle ways. She might dress slightly nicer when she knows you'll be around. She might comment on your appearance more. She might tease you lightly, but only after another woman compliments you. Jealousy sharpens a woman's attention, and that sharpness leaks out, even when she's trying to act casual. Here's the Stoic angle, Seneca said. What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about them. Jealousy isn't about your behavior. It's about her judgment of what your behavior means. If she didn't care, she wouldn't react. The reaction proves the attachment. Another jealousy sign is emotional inconsistency. When she's jealous, she might go from warm to cold in seconds. She might become distant for a day, then overly friendly the next. Men think this inconsistency means she's losing interest. In reality, she's trying to regain emotional balance because your actions stirred something inside her. And the biggest clue of all, a jealous woman pays more attention, not less. She watches your availability. She listens more carefully. She checks your social media more frequently. She brings up things you said weeks ago. Jealousy heightens awareness, and awareness means she's invested. David eventually realized that Karen's cold moments weren't rejection. They were emotional flares. If she truly didn't care, she would have stayed neutral. But jealousy never comes from neutrality. It only comes from desire. If you've ever seen a woman get just a little jealous over something small, drop a comment saying, "I've seen this. Stick with me." Because next, we're going into the comparison loop, the mental game women play when they're trying to decide whether to move closer to you or protect themselves from feeling too much. Number 6. The comparison loop she falls into. Let's be real, folks. When a woman can't get you out of her mind, she doesn't just think about you, she starts comparing you. Women don't compare men they feel nothing for. They compare the man who touched their emotions with every other man who crosses their path. And that comparison loop is one of the clearest signs you're living in her head long after the conversations stop. Here's how it works. A woman meets someone new. He's polite, maybe attractive, maybe even successful. But instead of seeing him for who he is, she mentally sets him next to you. She starts asking herself things like, why doesn't he make me feel the way he does? Or why isn't he as confident, as calm, as grounded, as decisive? That's the comparison loop. And once it starts, she can't turn it off. She's not comparing looks, she's comparing impact. And here's the twist most men miss. She compares the way your presence affected her body, her mood, and her emotions, not the surface stuff. The deep stuff. She'll notice the way the new guy speaks versus the way you speak. She'll notice the tone he uses versus the tone you used when you were centered and masculine. She'll notice whether he can hold space for her emotions, the way you did, without collapsing. Women compare men emotionally before they compare them logically. And here's where Stoicism comes in. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." Women instinctively measure men by this exact standard. When she sees another man drifting unfocused, reactionary, she immediately contrasts him with you. The more disciplined and purpose-driven you were, the lower other men feel by comparison. Another layer of the comparison loop is fantasy projection. She starts replaying old moments with you when she's around someone new. She starts imagining how different the moment would feel if you were the one standing there. That's not nostalgia. That's unresolved desire. The loop gets even stronger when she sees other women react to you. Women don't like admitting this, but they compare themselves to the women you attract. If she sees someone flirting with you, complimenting you, or showing interest in you, she immediately measures whether she still stands out in your eyes. Jealousy activates comparison. Comparison activates attachment. And one more thing, if she stopped talking to you but still compares other men to you, she's not over you. Her silence is just a cover for her confusion. Women fall into the comparison loop when they're unsure whether to move closer or pull away, but either direction includes you at the center of the thought process. The loop doesn't start unless you left a mark. Here's the Stoic truth: we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca said that, and it applies to her too. She suffers in imagination when she compares reality to the memory of you, and the stronger that imagination gets, the more space you take up in her internal world. If you've ever felt a woman measuring you against every man around her, drop a comment saying, "I know this." Stay tuned, because next we're going into the subtle moves that pull her back toward you, even when she's trying to walk away. Number 7. The subtle moves that pull her back to you. Let's be real, folks. When a woman tries to move on but you're still lingering in her mind, she doesn't come running back dramatically. No big speeches, no sudden confessions. Instead, she makes small, strategic moves subtle enough to deny, but obvious enough to reveal her pull toward you. These are the signs men overlook because they expect clarity. Women don't return with clarity. They return with hints. Let me make this real for you. There's a man named Mark, 61, a retired firefighter from Florida. After breaking things off with a woman named Julie, 56, he focused on rebuilding his routine morning gym sessions, fishing trips, reconnecting with old friends. A month later, Julie suddenly started showing up in small ways. She accidentally liked one of his old posts. She sent a message about a restaurant he once mentioned. She asked how his back was doing after a workout injury he told her about weeks earlier. These weren't random acts. These were hooks, soft attempts to ease herself back into his world without losing pride. Women pull themselves back toward you through low-risk contact. A comment that could be interpreted as friendly. A check-in that feels casual but is emotionally loaded. A sudden interest in something she used to ignore. She wants connection while keeping plausible deniability. Another subtle move is shared memory callbacks. When she mentions something you said months ago, a moment you shared an inside joke, she's inviting you back into that emotional space. Memory is a bridge, and she's testing whether you'll step onto it. Then there's physical proximity. She might start appearing in places where she knows she'll run into you, your gym, your favorite coffee shop, the grocery store aisle she never used. Women don't accidentally cross paths as often as men think. Proximity is a soft pull. Another sign is energy matching. When a woman is drawn back to you, she subtly adapts her tone, body language, or pace of conversation to match yours. If you're calm and grounded, she becomes softer. If you're confident, she becomes more playful. This shift isn't conscious. It's instinctive alignment, her nervous system syncing with yours because she feels safer around your presence than she wants to admit. And here's where Stoicism explains her behavior perfectly. Epictetus said, "People are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them." When you pull back or simply stand firm in your life, she begins to reinterpret your value. That reinterpretation triggers curiosity. Curiosity triggers longing, and longing triggers these subtle moves back into your orbit. Another powerful sign: she mirrors your availability. If you speak less, she becomes more responsive. If you seem busy, she suddenly tries a little harder. Mirroring is not manipulation. It's emotional gravity. Mark eventually realized that Julie wasn't reaching out because she wanted attention. She was reaching out because she missed the way she felt around him. Women return not for the man they remember, but for the feeling they remember. These subtle moves are her way of testing the water without risking rejection. They're the first signs that she's drifting back toward you, even if she swears she's moved on. If you've ever seen a woman quietly pull herself back into your world, drop a comment saying, "I've lived this. Stay with me," because next, we're stepping into the desire triggers the psychological sparks that hit her harder than she'll ever admit. Number 8. The desire triggers that hit her hard. Let's be real, folks. Women don't suddenly wake up one morning obsessed with a man. Desire isn't random, it's triggered. And when the right trigger hits her, it hits her fast, deep, and much harder than she'll ever admit. Most men think attraction is about looks or charm. But for women, especially women over 40 or 50, the real desire switch sits in her psychology, not her eyes. One of the biggest triggers is your emotional self-control. When you don't react to her mood swings, her tests, her silence, or her inconsistencies, she feels something she can't explain. Women desire men they can't rattle. A calm man creates tension because he forces her to wonder what's going on inside you. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Women feel this freedom, and they desire it because it's rare. Another trigger is your independence. Not fake independence, real independence. The kind where your life keeps moving, whether she's present or not. Women don't fantasize about men they can predict. They fantasize about men who stand solid in their own world. When she sees that your time, your hobbies, your goals, and your energy don't revolve around her, something inside her wakes up. Curiosity becomes desire. Desire becomes longing. A subtle but powerful trigger is your silence at the right moment. When she expects you to chase, but you don't. When she expects you to explain yourself, but you don't. When she expects validation, and you remain neutral. That silence creates a gap. And women fill emotional gaps with imagination. Imagination is where desire grows. Another trigger is your masculine presence. Not aggression, not superiority, presence. The calm, grounded energy of a man who knows who he is. Women feel this before they analyze it. It shows up in your posture, in your eye contact, in the way you speak slowly instead of rushing your words. Presence pulls her in without effort. It makes her body react before her mind catches up. And here's something men rarely understand. Women are triggered by the contrast between who they are and who you are. If she's emotional and you're steady, she feels drawn in. If she's uncertain and you're decisive, her desire rises. If she's chaotic and you're composed, she feels safe and excited. Desire is not about perfection, it's about polarity. Seneca said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." The Stoics understood the power of not reacting. Women feel that same power as desire. When you don't jump, don't chase, don't collapse into neediness, she respects you. And respect is the seed of attraction. Another trigger, your absence. Not ghosting, not manipulation. Just living your life without depending on her attention. When you step back not to punish her, but because you genuinely have things to do, she begins to feel the shift. She starts checking your profile. She notices your patterns. She wonders if she's losing her place in your world. That tension is pure desire fuel. Women don't fall for men who overwhelm them. They fall for men who pull them into uncertainty. If you've ever seen a woman become more interested right after you pulled back your attention, drop a comment saying, "I've felt this." Stay tuned, because next we're getting into the vulnerability she tries to hide, the emotional crack that reveals everything she doesn't want you to notice. Number 9. The vulnerability she tries not to show. Let's be real, folks. Women are experts at hiding vulnerability. They've had a lifetime of practice, relationships, disappointment, heartbreak, expectations. By the time a woman reaches her 40s or 50s, she has built emotional armor so thick she convinces even herself that nothing gets through. But when a woman is thinking about you, her armor cracks in ways she can't control. And those cracks reveal the truth more clearly than anything she says. Let me make this real with an example. There's a man named Thomas, 62, a contractor from North Carolina. He'd been casually spending time with a woman named Elaine, 58. They had chemistry, but both kept things relaxed. After a few weeks of space, Thomas noticed something surprising. When he ran into Elaine at a mutual friend's barbecue, she greeted him with a smile, but her eyes told a different story. They softened for a moment, then she quickly looked away. That tiny flash of emotion, that was vulnerability, the part she didn't want him to see. Women don't hide interest, they hide risk. When she feels something for you, she becomes aware of the danger that emotion creates. She doesn't want to appear needy, too hopeful, too invested. So she does what women do best. She manages the image, while her biology betrays her. One of the biggest signs of hidden vulnerability is overcorrection. She acts colder than she feels, shorter than she wants to be, or more independent than she actually is. A woman pretending not to care is often a woman who cares the most. Another sign is hesitation. The pause before she answers your question, the way she takes a breath before speaking about something emotional, the slight tremble in her voice when she asks how you're doing. Hesitation isn't weakness, it's emotional exposure. Then there's defensiveness. When she tries too hard to prove she's fine, that she's moved on, that your presence doesn't affect her, those are self-protective reactions. Real indifference is effortless. Performed indifference always looks rehearsed. A woman's vulnerability also leaks through softness. When she lets her tone drop, when she gives you a longer look than necessary, when she listens a little too closely, that softness isn't available to every man. It only appears for the one she's been replaying in her mind. Here's where Stoicism explains her behavior perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Women try to exercise that power, but when emotion enters the picture, the mind loses its grip. Her reactions shift. Her voice shifts. Her posture shifts. Emotion doesn't ask for permission before revealing itself. Another clue. She gets quiet around you, not because she's bored, but because she's feeling. Silence is often the space she needs to regain control. She's afraid her eyes might say too much. She's afraid her tone might give her away. And one more thing men often miss. When a woman avoids looking at you directly, that's not rejection, that's vulnerability. Direct eye contact with a man she desires feels too exposing. Thomas eventually realized Elaine wasn't distant, she was protecting herself. The quiet moments, the soft reactions, the shifts in tone, all of them were signs she felt more than she wanted to reveal. If you've ever seen a woman try to hide her emotional cracks, drop a comment saying, "I've seen this." Don't go anywhere, because next we're breaking down the emotional gravity, the force that keeps you in her mind long after she thinks she's let you go. Number 10. The emotional gravity that keeps you in her mind. Let's be real, my friend. When a woman feels something for you, even if she fights it, even if she runs from it, there is a force she can't fully escape. I call it emotional gravity. It's the pull she feels when she thinks she's done with you, yet somehow ends up right back in the same mental space. It's not logic. It's not choice. It's a psychological pattern deeply wired into female nature. Emotional gravity begins with impact. Not the words you said, not the compliments you gave, but the emotional experience she had standing next to you. Women don't bond to men. They bond to how they felt in a man's presence. And if she felt desired, seen, grounded, or excited in ways she doesn't feel with other men, that emotional imprint doesn't fade easily. This is why months can pass, conversations can stop, lives can go separate ways, and she still thinks about you when she's alone. Emotional gravity doesn't work on a timeline. It activates when her mind becomes quiet. In the car, in the shower, lying in bed at night, women revisit the emotional highs and emotional uncertainties of their past far more than they admit. And here's something men often overlook. Women feel emotional gravity strongest when you stop trying to pull them back. When you detach, when you stay focused, when you live with purpose, your lack of emotional chaos makes you more memorable, not less. She's used to men who chase, over-explain, or break down emotionally. So when you don't do any of that, she feels something rare, a man she can't fully read, can't fully predict, and can't fully replace. Emotional gravity also grows through contrast. If the men she meets now are reactive while you stayed calm, if they're insecure while you remained steady, if they're clingy while you stayed grounded, her mind automatically returns to the emotional blueprint you set. Women measure new men by the last man who truly impacted them. If that man was you, emotional gravity kicks in without permission. Here's where Stoicism shines a bright light on the truth. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When she's had emotional experiences with you, intense, intimate, or deep, her inner world gets dyed with that memory. She can date someone else, she can distract herself, she can stay busy, but the color doesn't wash out easily. Emotional gravity also shows up when she hits moments of vulnerability in her own life. Stress, loneliness, disappointment, or even unexpected happiness can bring your memory back to the surface. Why? Because humans return mentally to the places where they once felt emotionally alive. You become an emotional reference point. And here's the part most men never understand. You don't create emotional gravity by doing more. You create it by being more grounded, more disciplined, more masculine in the way only a man with life experience can be. Women feel that, and they remember it long after the physical connection fades. So when she circles back, checks on you, watches you, reacts to you, or quietly resurfaces in your life, it's not random, it's gravity. Emotional gravity pulls her back to the one man who didn't lose himself while she was figuring out herself. And if you've ever noticed a woman struggle to let go, even when she tried to stay distant, now you know exactly why. We covered a lot today, my friend. You learned the real signs that show when you're on her mind, even if she's trying hard to hide it. The subtle behaviors, the emotional reactions, the jealousy spikes, the comparison loop, and finally, the emotional gravity that keeps pulling her back. Once you understand these patterns, you stop guessing and start seeing clearly. If you want deeper lessons on Stoicism, masculine strength, emotional control, and female psychology, the things I can't teach publicly, join the channel membership. That's where the real work happens. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching, take care of yourself, and I'll see you tomorrow.